Hey everyone, and welcome back to Cruising with Matthew. Today I'm going to share my top 10 hints and tips for sailing on Cunard's Queen Mary 2 to help you make the most of your time on board this iconic ship. I really hope you enjoy this video, and if you do, please like and subscribe as it's massively appreciated. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. Number 1. She's an ocean liner, not a cruise ship. This distinction truly sets her apart from any other passenger ship in service today. She's purpose-built to carry out a regular transatlantic crossing between Southampton and New York, whatever the weather. As a result, her design is completely different to that of a standard cruise ship, as she has to be able to withstand the worst that the North Atlantic could throw at her. She has a long, sleek bow and an impressive forward superstructure, complete with a breakwater to deflect large waves and protect the passenger cabins and venues behind. Her hull is thicker and has a deeper draft to help keep her stable in the roughest of seas. Inside, the main public areas are lower down and as midships as possible to help reduce any pitching you may feel on a choppy crossing. This means that even to the most seasoned of cruiser, you really have to think about her layout and figure out where everything is. But it felt like part of her charm, as there was always more of the ship to explore. Although she has a generous amount of open deck space, she can comfortably hold her own with everyone inside as well. It never felt too cramped or claustrophobic, with there being wide open corridors and vast public areas. So even if you're on a cruise where the weather isn't all that good, you'll never feel cooped up. Number 2. Take in the history. Another reason why I love QM2 is the fact that she carries the history of the grand ocean liners which sailed before her. This feels especially poignant on a transatlantic, as I couldn't help but think of the countless people who have traversed this vast area of ocean, often on household names like Aquitania, Normandy, QE2, and of course Titanic. So there's a lot of history to learn from, and I loved that her corridors are packed full of paintings, posters and sculptures detailing some of these incredible ships. The best place for this has to be the Maritime Quest exhibition, which is located near Illuminations. Here you could easily spend several hours learning the history of the Transatlantic Crossing and Cunard itself. So it's a must visit if you're a ship geek like me. Even in the main public areas, the closer you look, the more art and history you'll find. So it really felt like you're sailing on a floating art gallery and museum, along with all the other fantastic things QM2 has to offer. Therefore, I really recommend taking a few hours just to wander around the ship and seek these areas out. Number 3. Stand on her upper observation deck. Located on deck 11, right at the front of the ship, this is one of my favourite vantage points on the whole ship, as it gives you some incredible views of the ship's bow and beyond. You really get a sense of speed up here, so you can't help but be impressed by the power of QM2 as she cuts through the waves. It also hangs over the side of the ship a little, so you can look all the way down the length of QM2, which I just think is so cool. Whilst impressive at sea, it's also a great place to watch any scenic sailing during your trip. And I loved standing here as QM2 sailed under the 25th of April bridge before arriving into Lisbon in 2022. If this isn't good enough, there's also a glass-fronted lift on each side of the observation deck. This takes you all the way down to the Promenade on deck 7 with some fantastic views to boot. It can be a bit of a secret spot on QM2, so do make sure you go for a ride in this, as it's a great way to take in the views. Number 4. Enjoy afternoon tea in the Queen's Room. Now this is held every day of your cruise, whether you're at sea or in port, and for me is a real highlight of a Cunard cruise. Held within the impressive Queen's Room ballroom on Deck 3, afternoon tea is a sophisticated affair where you can enjoy a range of tasty sandwiches along with cakes and patisserie before finishing off with those all-important scones. You're also served a seemingly endless supply of tea throughout, although you can ask for things like fruit teas or Earl Grey if you prefer. You can also order some bubbles if you're wanting to celebrate, but this does incur an extra charge. Throughout the whole event, there's also a classical musician playing, which just made it feel that bit more special. So it's well worth giving it a go, especially as I'm yet to find a cruise line that does it as well as Cunard. Number 5. Enjoy drinks in the chart room. Situated on Deck 3 near the upper level of the Britannia restaurant, the chart room has quickly become a real favourite to enjoy a few drinks before dinner. It's a wonderfully spacious venue, with these glass murals being a real favourite of mine. There's also space for live musicians, and this can be as large as a full jazz band. Dotted around the whole venue are a lot of comfy seats, many of which are located near these large windows, so you could take in the views whilst you enjoy a drink or two. I love the fact that the chart room has a specialty cocktail menu, which is inspired by the Zodiac, which we may have slowly worked through during our trip. We also found out that they actually have a separate afternoon menu, which offers a few more playful cocktails that you can't find in the evening menu or anywhere else on the ship. So if you fancy a lazy afternoon on a sea day, this is well worth checking out. Number 6. Make the most of the Cunard Insights lecture series. One of my favourite things about Cunard is the quality of their onboard lecture series, and on QM2 this really comes into its own, especially on a transatlantic. These are often held in the Illuminations Theatre and can range from light-hearted topics to much more serious and in-depth discussions. You'll normally get 2 or 3 lectures on each sea day, and during our round-trip transatlantic, this included a former US ambassador to Qatar discussing geopolitics, an astronomer detailing the recovery of the Columbia space shuttle, a historian covering the life of Queen Mary, and even talks on marine mythology and female pirates. So to say it's an eclectic mix is certainly an understatement, but fascinating nonetheless. On most cruises, Cunard also has a featured speaker. You'll have a standard lecture by them, followed by a later Q&A session with the entertainment's director. As they tend to be quite well known, they're held in the larger Royal Court Theatre, and getting here early is strongly recommended as the place fills up quite quickly. On the transatlantic, this included the journalist John Simpson, who shared some frank and incredibly humble discussions about meeting well-known figures like Mandela, Putin, Gaddafi, and even Zelensky. Whereas on our return crossing, we heard from Jeff Skiles, who was the first officer on the flight that became known as the Miracle on the Hudson, and he gave us an incredible and very humble rendition of that fateful flight. I'm yet to find a cruise line that offers the same number and quality of speakers on board. So do make sure you look out for these on your cruise, as it gives you the chance to learn from experts and well-known speakers. Number 7. Make the most of the Promenade deck. Located on Deck 7, this is one of my favourite areas of open deck on board QM2. Unlike more modern ships, it's really spacious, meaning it never felt too crowded, and we ended up spending a lot of time here doing laps to work off some of those cruise calories. On sunnier days though, we just love sitting on these padded steamer deck chairs, although I'm yet to figure out how you're meant to get out of one of these with any sense of grace or poise. Beyond this, the back portion also gives you some gorgeous wake views over her wonderfully tiered stern. The best spot for us though had to be right at the front, as the promenade leads you out onto a fabulous bit of open deck which looks directly over the bow of the ship. This is also where you'll find QM2's spare propeller blades, which are affectionately known as the Commodore's cufflinks. Looming above it all though is QM2's imposing forward superstructure and is such a unique vantage point on board. This area may get closed off in inclement weather, but you can still walk around and look out thanks to this enclosed walkway, but do be sure to check when these doors are open, as the views on the bow are just incredible. Number 8. Relax in the Commodore Club. Another one of my favourite lounges on board is this secluded lounge located right at the front of the ship on deck 9. This almost seems to hide in plain sight as it's tucked away from most of the other public venues on board. It's much smaller than the Commodore Clubs found on Cunard's other ships, so it had quite an intimate vibe at night, as it's a very popular spot for some pre or post dinner drinks as you listen to the resident pianist. Sadly, it meant we often weren't able to get a seat here, although on sea days it's open during the day as well, with it being a great place to sit back and read with a drink and enjoy views over the bow of the ship. Number 9. Look into the bridge. Unless you book one of Cunard's extra charge behind the scenes tours, entry to the bridge is, understandably, strictly prohibited. But QM2 has an ingenious feature, a small viewing gallery directly behind the bridge itself. Now, it's only open at certain times of your cruise, but do keep an eye out for when it's open, as it's a fascinating insight into the nerve centre of QM2. You're not allowed to record here, but it's a really well designed space, with tons of information detailing all the equipment being used and their functions. So if you're a ship geek like I am, this is well worth a visit. Number 10. Embark on a Transatlantic Crossing. If you want to experience QM2 in her element, then a transatlantic crossing is an absolute must. Whilst the idea of spending a week at sea may sound quite intimidating, I think it's something a cruise lover should do at least once in their lifetime, as it's a trip unlike any other. The arrival into New York is a sailing I'll never forget. From sailing under the Verrazano Narrows Bridge and watching the Statue of Liberty and the Manhattan skyline come into view was a bucket list moment, and I'm not ashamed to say that I got very emotional here. The time spent on board goes by in a flash, as there's so many things going on, you can do as much or as little as you fancy. If you want to know more though, I'll be doing a full transatlantic hints and tips video very soon. But spoiler alert, we had an incredible time. Bonus hint, find her aft wings. Finally, I just want to point out these quirky areas of open deck located near the terrace pool on deck 8. These aft wings, as I call them, stick out slightly beyond the main body of the ship, so you get some incredible views of QM2's hull all the way down its length. It can be quite blustery here, especially when you're at sea, but the views you get are well worth it. Just hold on to your camera, as it's a long way down. So there you have it, my hints and tips for Cunard's Queen Mary 2, and I hope you found it useful. If you want to know more about cruising with Matthew, do check out my other social media channels, the link is in the description below. I hope you're all doing well at the moment, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. So until the next time, this is Cruising with Matthew, and thank you so much for watching.